The views and opinions expressed in this podcast by the host and or the guest do not necessarily reflect the views of the host and or Paranormal Buzz Radio and or its sponsors. Use of any material produced by Paranormal Buzz Radio without express written consent is prohibited. Paranormal Buzz Radio will not be held responsible for you holding your knees, crying, and rocking in a corner in a puddle of your own urine, or being beheaded by a group of children in a cornfield. In fact, if you come across a group of children in a cornfield, we promise to make fun of you as you run away screaming in terror. Listener discretion is advised. Caution. You are now entering the all-consuming realm of Shay's Paranormal Chat, where the things that are better left unsaid are actually said.
Shut up and sit down.
You're listening to Shay's Paranormal Chat. Paranormal podcasting done Shay's way. Tons of fun.
Dude, seriously?
A bit sarcastic.
Hashtag investigator, not hunter.
But always real.
Hashtag data, not evidence.
Don't get your panties in a twist.
Oh my god, really?
This is real, raw conversation. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Hello, everybody. Good evening. Happy Wednesday. Thank you for joining us on this special night. Not only is it Wednesday, but we have John and Niko from the upcoming show, Phantom Science. How you guys doing?
Doing good. How you doing this evening?
Doing great. Now that we got started, I'm all excited.
That'll last about 5 minutes. You know, what am I doing here?
It's okay. They can't see the eye roll, so we're all set.
I can see them. I'm going to mark them.
Okay. All right. So, what made you decide to do a podcast?
Oh, well, I'm one of the Seeking the Paranormal crew, and we took a kind of a hiatus, and while we were doing it, you know, there's things still going through my head that I'm like, oh, we got to get that out. Oh, we should talk about this. And it became too much. And also, I mean, it's a great crew, but there's some things that I kind of want to tackle myself as well, because I keep getting accused of oversight and stuff. And I thought, well, if I'm going to do it, let's just do a podcast. And then Niko wanted to do one too, who doesn't say much over there.
Yeah. I wanted to do one.
All right, got roped into doing one. So, yeah, so we did a first episode and kind of looked at each other and thought, you know, it's not so bad, and maybe people will like it, and maybe they won't.
I hope so.
I think so. I think it's pretty good.
Never know unless you try.
Yeah.
We throw some shout-outs out here to the first couple people in chat. Of course, we have Darin Bus in the house.
Hey, Darin.
We have the Paranormal Junkyard with us.
Hey.
Again, guys, thank you for joining us on this Wednesday. I am trying to read chat, so you might have to put things in there a couple times for me, but we're going to get there. So, how long have you guys been investigating together?
Ooh, about 2 years.
Yeah.
Me personally, I've always been kind of the bookish sort, so I've been into the field for a long time. So following people like Harry Price and all that good stuff, you know, and then the field work, you know, it's relatively recent. So we've been doing it for about 2 years, so we know our way around, if you know what I mean. And we do it pretty consistently. So we're out, I don't know, average about once a month.
Yeah, at least a couple times a month.
Yeah. So.
Is that when you both started?
Yep, pretty much. I think it was like a couple of months later when he joined.
Yep.
We had another team member that dropped out, and Niko kind of wanted to do it, so we got him in as a probie, and he had to buy all the donuts for a while.
They eat a lot of donuts.
We made him go down to the end of the dark hallways and say things.
Oh yeah.
Help me.
You had to see if he could handle it or if he was going to run.
No, just if anybody got 8, I want to make sure it was him and not
Yeah.
Oh,
me.
see? Yeah, even better.
Hey, we heard a noise over there. Go check it out. Okay.
Well, he's
Yep.
still a virgin, so that's the kind of sacrifice we want.
Hey, that's the best kind.
Wow.
I was waiting for no comment.
No comment.
No
There's
comment. All right.
He's
He's,
spiritually a virgin.
Nico is still a little shy. We just got to break him in slowly, guys.
Yeah, I'm getting used to this.
Yeah.
That's another thing about it, too, is just doing my research. And, I'm surrounded with good people who know a lot and have been doing this for years. So that's a big one for me. Getting my history, getting background helps.
It does. Let's see. Darin has a question. He's going to have plenty, but we'll start with this one.
I'm used to this.
Yeah, he has
Oh,
good
yeah.
questions, though. Comes up
He
with
does.
good questions.
He really does. What has been your favorite location you have been to so far?
Oh, I'm not sure I can pick one because, and the reason why is it depends on when we go out. We usually have a goal because we're kind of object oriented when we go, and so if the best place to test the spirit box, for example, is the Granger House. Yep. And then EVPs, it seems we always get good ones at Farrar.
Definitely.
And not so much at the Grange House. And then for more in-your-face kind of stuff every now and then, it's got to be Edinburgh. So it just depends on where we're going, what we're looking for. And we always have kind of experiments that we want to do. So instead of shotgunning, we used to shotgun. But now, as we've got more and more of a data pool, we say, okay, where are we going? What happened last time? How can we test this? And we kind of, zero in on it.
Well, and too, shotgunning it is kind of how you start. I mean, you don't even know what to expect out of a place. So you just go there, go at it, see what happens, go again, and then you start saying, okay, can we get this to happen again? Can we catch it? What is this place like? What's the pattern?
Yeah.
So as far as favorites go, they're all my favorite because they're all a little bit different.
I like that answer. Yeah. I agree. I always have trouble with that one. I got asked that last Sunday, and I'm like, man, you're gonna hate me with all my answers because my answers change.
Yeah. Well, there's some places I dislike. Well, not dislike, but wasn't impressed with. But that comes with the territory.
With the territory, yep.
Yeah.
And you know what, too? Just because it was bad for us that time won't mean it will be the next time we go.
So if it's bad once, do you guys still go back?
Yeah, because the aim is to get a pool of data, and you can't get that from one visit.
I agree.
I mean, we've been to Edinburgh and had a completely dead night. Nothing. And we've gone there and had all kinds of crazy stuff happen. So it's hit or miss sometimes.
Yeah. And I think the more you go back, the more data you can collect, and it's easier to get a bigger picture.
Yeah, actually, I'm playing with a theory I'm trying to test is, especially, at the Granger House, it seems the more we use the spirit box, the more we get, I found. So, and now we built our own spirit box that doesn't have all the white noise in it, which really gets up my nose, or it used to. So, I get that kind of helps, but I'm getting the feeling that the more we do it, the more we get, or the clearer it becomes.
And I feel the same way with different, with any of those types, spirit box, and I always wonder, and I always ask this question over and over on the page, and I do that with a lot of questions because people's minds change, but I always wonder, is it because they get used to the spirit box, or is it because it's easier for them to use now, or is it easier for us to understand, or by us using the same device over and over, are we but opening up more communication by doing it over and over?
If that's what's happening, I think that's it. Because, I remember when my kids first got a bike and they got on it and fell off.
Yeah.
Yep.
Didn't get very far with it. But over time, all of a sudden, they knew how to use it and they were doing fine with it. So I think if that's what's happening, I think that's how it's happening. And here's the strange thing. So, especially at the Granger House, is it's not so much we get direct communication. It's like you can hear people talking to each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the weird thing of it, is you sit there and I hate the spirit box. Our second episode is all about the spirit box, but I have a love-hate. When I first got it, because I'm extremely objective, I'm like, oh, people hear voices coming out of the radio. Yeah, that's weird. And I took it, I'm going to debunk the crap out of this. But when I sat and listened to what we got, the odds, of those words in that place and such, and stringing together over that many radio stations, I'm like,
and they actually make sense compared to what you're asking.
Yeah, so
the odds of that,
Yeah, so the odds kind of got me, so I keep using it now and keep taking data. I guess in my mind, we're not going to prove ghosts with a spirit box, but what I do want to prove is the anomaly of the spirit box first. Yeah. If that makes sense.
Yeah. It's I don't know how to explain this other than using a metaphor. It's kind of when I talk about psychics and mediums, let's go with mediums, okay? Let's talk about real mediums, that actually know what they're doing, psychics and mediums. When they get this information, and when they're 100% accurate, which they're not always, but when they are, and they're getting this from a deceased person, are we sure they're getting it from a deceased person? And I'm not taking away their credibility, because they're getting the information from somewhere. I just question on where it's coming from sometimes.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It does.
Totally.
And that's part of what we are trying to do in that. Here's my thing. When I go on, we go on ghost hunts with other groups.
You almost said here.
I'm waiting. 2 episodes in and he hasn't said it.
I did on the second.
Oh, I didn't finish it yet. Oh, okay.
Quite a few times. Anyway, here's the thing. Is when I've done a couple of flashlight tours for people and gone on, hunts with other groups, and it's like they don't have a grounding theory of what they're looking for. They're just looking for something to happen. And to me, the way I think, it should be the other way. You should be, okay, how does this work? Because before you ask that question, how do you know what to test for? So we've got like an EEG reader, brainwave reader.
Oh yeah, I saw that. You have a video up.
Yeah, and that to me is that's what I want to use. So we don't have a medium or anything like that, because we've interviewed 1 or 2, but they've all kind of like never answered back to us.
They never get back to us.
No, so and then that's fine. I got nothing against it, but I want to test it, and we use it basically. I want to kind of get it so that if we get, when you get someone says, oh, I heard something talk to me, and no one else hears it, I want to be able to have, if we've got a brainwave reader on, is it a brainwave going off? Is there activity there that how is this working?
And there should be some kind of activity if you're hearing something, responding to it.
Yeah, but then is it a gamma wave? Is it a theta wave? Or if we can pin something like that down, then we can go at it further. Instead of I think it took me 2 sessions to get bored of the K2 meter. I was like, it blinks, and what's it actually doing? Why? So
I'm listening. I'm reading chat at the same time.
No, that's fine.
We got tons of questions pouring in, and I'm not ignoring them, guys. We're getting to them slowly.
Bring them.
I use the K2, but never alone. It's always to see what happens when you mix it with something else. Like if one thing's going off, is this going to set it off? After rolling everything else out. And even if just the K2 goes off, to me, you have to have 2 or 3 things happening at once to even count it. When we're on location, though, I do tend to go with it, but that's in case there's something really there. I'm not going to ignore it. But when it comes down to reviewing stuff and releasing stuff, I like to have 2 or 3 things at once.
Yeah, we've switched to the tri-field meter.
Oh, I want one so bad.
Just because it cuts out so much of the false positives. We sit with ours hardly goes off, but when it does go off, then we actually take notice of it. So, that's it's shielded, and you can set it. Is it magnetic? Is it electronic? And is it radio? You can set it to either one of those. At least you know which one you're getting. Kind of deal. So,
and like you said, it can go with other devices too. I mean, if it's
definitely.
going off and then you hear a noise and then you catch an EVP.
Yeah,
you can put those things together and make a solid.
That's how I feel too.
Yeah, and we use it pretty much like you do as an indicator. If it goes off, okay, is something happening? Can we make other things go off or interact in any way?
Because you choose how much weight to put in it. I mean, it can just be there. You don't have to put all of your attention into it.
Exactly.
Actually, there's other ways of doing that.
Yeah.
Testing for that. We got a video up with if you get iron filings, put them in a plastic bag and just leave them somewhere.
If you get what?
Iron filings.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah, you put them in a plastic bag. We got a video up. It's just a short one. Put them in a plastic bag. Stamp them all down. Just leave them somewhere. Take a picture of them. Bugger off. Do your investigation. And then when you come back, anything magnetic that's moved over that, you will see the difference. So it's kind of like having a K2 meter out that, you don't have to look at. When you come back, if it's moved, something magnetic, electromagnetic has moved over it.
It's kind of a mixture of the K2 and the baby powder thing.
Yep, except you're not allowed to do baby powder, but you can do iron filings in a bag.
Yep. Sorry, Niko, I cut you off with that, and then I forget what you were saying because he made me laugh.
No, you're all right. You ought to see us putting them out, Yeah. It feels weird. It's such a little thing, but it's a good little thing.
And it's cheap.
It is cheap.
All the equipment's so bloody expensive. It's something that simple. I mean, we've got like 6 of them that we lay out all over the place, and just take a picture of them. And we've actually had some that were different when we came back. We're like, okay.
Look, mess with.
Yep.
That's pretty cool.
Yep.
Do you film them, or do you think it's in case it's something else, or do you think?
Nope. Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing.
Hashtag here's the thing.
So we lay them down. We make sure that it's somewhere that isn't high traffic. If we're going to leave it there all night, we'll put it, like when we went to Farrar, we put it on the one that moved, we put it on one of the school desks in a classroom, and I don't think we went in that classroom all night. So make sure there's nowhere where there's vibrations, and then take a picture of it. You don't have to film it. Just once you've placed it, take a picture of it, and then just forget about it till the morning. And then before you pick it up, take another picture of it. You got before and after, and you can compare them.
Something else that we like to do, we bring the whole crew. When we lay out equipment, we like that everybody knows where it is instead of kind of everything being all over the place.
Except me, I've kicked a few sometimes.
Yeah, it happens. But it is really good for everybody to know where it is, and it kind of takes out that question of did someone mess with it? Did someone sit on it?
Yep. Yeah. Paranormal Junkyard has a question. Darin, I'm going to go to his since you have a bunch and he only has one, or her. I don't know which one of them it is. Could be both of them listening.
Hi, both of you.
I think guys, I have a migraine, so I'm sorry. I shouldn't forget your name with all the emails, but I do forget your name right now. Let's see. Their question is: have you been into a location that felt heavy and that felt like spirits did not want you there?
Um,
Not for me.
Now, how do I word this? I have, and there's a couple of times I've been to Edinburgh, but I will be honest with you, is I'm not sure that's how I interpret it. I mean, the human psyche's crazy as it is, so I've been places where I've felt uncomfortable. Now, for me to take that leap of faith and say it's because the spirits didn't want us here, I'm not ready to do. But that being said, it is a point of data that we note down if we have a bad feeling or a weird feeling. I've had it at Edinburgh a couple of times, and I've had it actually Ferrara. I get it more often than not. Especially, I don't know what it is, because normally I don't mind wandering around on my own. It doesn't bother me. But when I go to Ferrara, I do kind of mind wandering around on my own, and I don't know why.
You have had stuff happen to you at Ferrara, though. Twice.
Yeah, that's true. Hang on a minute. Sorry.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Sorry, I should turn it off. No, but Ferrara, I was going to, once I got poked in the arm down in the boiler room. God bless it. And there was no one behind me. And then the other time, I was going out for a smoke, just wandering down the hallways, and I got what you're describing, that really heavy feeling, which I don't get. And at the same time, I saw motion out the corner of my eye in one of the classroom doors I was going by. I turned to look. There was nothing there, but you get that someone walked over your grave feeling where you just get all pins and needles. And so, yes, we get that kind of thing. But I personally, I'm very careful in the leaps of faith I make, because otherwise I'll make too many and I'll end up adrift somewhere.
Well, the only thing I've ever happened to me, and it happened the same night that happened to him, where he got kind of pushed over, but it wasn't a bad feeling. It was up. I don't know if you've ever been to Ferrara. I'm sure you have. We were up. Yeah, you.
Not yet. I've never been to Iowa yet.
Oh wow! Well,
corn.
Ferrara is a good
and
place.
Beans.
Oh, I have a whole list. Yeah, one of them is John's studio for the beer he owes me.
Yep, we got the bar.
Yep.
But anyway,
Secret lab.
Yeah, we were upstairs, and that place is hot. I mean, you go in the summer. I mean, we're all sweating, and we were doing a sit and listen session, and we're sitting on the floor, and all of a sudden, I got absolutely freezing cold, and I stopped sweating completely, and that's something that it happened the same night that happened to John. So, but I didn't feel bad or anything. I didn't get any eerie feelings or unwanted. To go from completely sweating to freezing. Yeah. It's really interesting to me.
Oops, excuse me. Let's see.
So I guess that's kind of sad, because if I did go somewhere where spirits didn't want me to go, I probably wouldn't pick up on it, or if I did, I'd dismiss it. So if I get this in one day.
We had an experience one time. We had investigated. Damn, my head hurts here. Sarah Winchester's, the cemetery Sarah Winchester happens to be buried at. There's a local legend there of Midnight Mary. And we had been investigating there all day, and we went and paid respects to her beautiful grave, by the way, Sarah's. And we spent all day there, went and had dinner, and then we wanted to go back at night and see if we could get the same results, different results, what would happen. And the only time this has ever happened, we pull up to the place that we had just spent hours and hours and hours, and we just sat there, not saying a word, nobody getting out of the car. I've tried to describe it. It's almost like when a real person, like you just have that fear that something's not right, like somebody's watching you or somebody's coming towards you that shouldn't be, so I can't say it was paranormal or if it was something didn't feel right. After 10 minutes, we both realized we hadn't said anything, didn't get out of the car, and we were like, okay, let's just go. And then another 5 minutes, we didn't get out. And then finally, I'm like, neither one of us want to get out of this car. We've never done this before. Cut and run. Something's telling both of us not to get out of the car, so it's not worth it. So.
Yeah, I had one experience at Edinburgh where it was about 3 a.m. and we were hearing. Edinburgh's one of these cat and mouse places, but we were hearing stuff that. And then one of the guys with us said, I keep hearing a hiss, and we were hearing. And I left to go out to the little house in back and have a coffee. And then I sat on, and it was summer, it was nice. I sat on the steps, I looked at Edinburgh, I'm like, you know what, I just don't want to go in again. I don't know if it's because I was tired or what. I really don't want to go back in again. So, that stuff happens, I guess.
Yep.
Just.
Let's see. I'm trying to find. There's so many questions I'm missing, guys. Sorry. I think he asked earlier, what's your favorite piece of equipment right now?
Once again, depends on what we're doing.
Yeah.
I do like.
Sorry.
I do like the ghost feeder, which basically is a metal detector. And I'm not. I mean, we've covered this on Seeking the Paranormal, but I mean, this is all new. So, basically, when we looked at ghost feeders that are supposed to put energy into the air, that some places sell, they're like a 9-volt battery that spins. It's like, how much energy is really coming out of this stupid thing? And so we thought, well, what does put out a big chunk of electromagnetic? And a metal detector does. It's ground penetrating electromagnetic energy. So we got one of those, and the added bonus, which I never thought would, actually be an indicator, is that if a charge gets reflected back to it, which is what ferrous metals do, they pick up that magnetic charge and it bounces back, and that's what makes a metal detector go off. So I was like, well, if anything takes on a charge enough to reflect it back, it will go off. And you'd be surprised how many times that goes off when we're getting activity somewhere else.
Yeah.
So I know, for example, in the Granger house, when we did an experiment with the spirit box, and it was focusing, and we were getting stuff, that was going off, and it wasn't going off before, and it didn't go off after. And then we had one time that actually, made my butt clench at Edinburgh. Yeah, we had it at the bottom, one at the bottom of the stairs, one at the top. And you got to remember, these are metal detectors, so there's no reason for them to go off unless there's metal flakes floating around, which there aren't. So the one at the bottom stairs just was going dee-dee-dee-dee-dee-dee-dee-dee, and they never do that. They just beep once. So I thought, well, the battery's going or something like that. And Niko said, can you stop that now, please? And it stopped.
And we both froze solid.
And then we're like, okay. And then, can you do that again? It went off again.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I think there's something wrong with this. It shouldn't make that many beeps. So I turned it off. And then Niko said, can you make the one upstairs go off, please? And the one upstairs went off. So to me, the coincidences of that are pretty low. So that's a favorite one we have is, just get a metal detector, have it standing straight up and down like a radar. And, if the theory of ghosts feed on energy and makes them more active, that will definitely do it. And we have had, responses off of that.
And we've tested them too. I mean, we've just left that on all day somewhere and it never goes off at all. We've been on investigations where it didn't go off all night.
Yeah. I test everything in the workshop. The workshop's probably the most unhaunted place in the world. I mean, if I run the spirit box, I won't get anything. The ghost feeder, I've never had it go off back here. So, so I'm just hoping nobody ever dies back here and makes it all screwy so I can't test stuff back here.
Darin, yes, I guess I should have said this in the beginning, but it's not like I'm a professional or anything. Darin would like to know what night your podcast is going to be on.
Sunday nights at 7 Central, 8 Eastern. So, yep, the first one comes coming this Sunday, and then the format we are going to do is we're going to do 3 weeks are going to be recorded, and then the fourth week's always going to be live, and that way people can then attack us for what we've said in the 3 weeks previous. Say, that's rubbish, or not, but we can have a discussion, about, the way way we're kind of trying to push the objectivity side of it, and so we'll do 3 weeks recorded, 1 week live, where we can have an interactive discussion.
It'll be nice because people can put in their 2 cents, kind of, and we can, maybe grow off of that, discuss.
Yeah, we don't know
it has to be a discussion, and I like that about you because sometimes people, I don't mean this bad. I'm taken the same way that I'm very opinionated. I'm set in my ways, but that's not true. I state my opinion. I'm just very blunt, but I have no problem changing my mind, and I have no problem really thinking about the other sides. Sometimes I change my mind. Sometimes I don't. It's when you have that opinion and there's no room to grow, no room to change, no room to learn anything, then it's an issue.
Yeah. Which that's the problem I have with mainstream science. So here's the thing. I know. Here's the thing. If somebody comes at me and says, whatever they want to say, let's say, all right, let's do the orb thing because I think they're rubbish. But let's say, well, and someone actually says orbs work this way, and they actually give me a handle on it, that how that works or under what circumstances, something
that you can actually look into and discuss
and get a handle on it. Because the worst thing is when somebody gives you a statement that you just can't. There's no handle on it. I can't grapple with it. It's you can tell me, male unicorns have 3-inch horns and female unicorns have, whatever. I can't prove that. That's a belief, and that's fine. I'm not going to attack your belief, but if you're going to bring that and say that it's real, you've got to give me something that I can grapple with at least. Yeah. If you can't, then I'm not going to take it as seriously as I would. Does that make sense?
It does. It really does. You got to say it as if you believe it, not that it's a fact that you can prove. Yeah. There's two different things.
Yeah, if you believe it, that's fine. Belief's good. They help you through bad times. I'm not going to attack that. But if you say, I was here and this happened and that's how they are, then I'm might have an issue with that. Say, well, okay, give me a handle on this. How does that work? Why are they like that? And then, if it's all just narrative, there's nothing for me to grab onto. And, if it's just narrative, that's all it is to me.
Yep.
And then being open, too, to it being wrong. If you can validate why something isn't true, a lot of times people are not open to why it's not true. They don't like that.
Nope. And it's not in a field that you can't prove anything. What's the big problem with if you're wrong on something? Or, let me tell you, we've changed our opinion, our methods, our ideas since we started doing this. And that's the whole point, is to learn, to grow, to do things different. So I'm sure I've put stuff out there that I didn't understand, and I'm sure I'll do it again. But since then, I've learned,
Yeah, you're open to learning.
Yes.
And, really, in this field, if you want to progress it in any way, we all need to kind of work together in a sensible way, not just say, no, I'm right, no, I'm right.
And that's the problem. Ego gets in the way in this field.
Yeah, or people get butthurt because you're challenging a belief. And some people don't recognize that it's a belief that they're stating. The paranormal field, as far as science goes, has been going for 100 years, a little over, and we got nothing.
Nope.
So, if you can have a theory, I don't mind you having a theory saying, well, I think this because this, and then at least you got something when you go somewhere you can say, oh, let's try this if that's how it works. Let's try and make that work.
Yeah.
And
too, how you approach these things together or, on your own, however you're investigating. If you don't approach them right, before you know it, you're so far out there, and no one's going to take you serious.
Yeah, that's why I always call it leaps of faith.
It matters.
You take too many of them, you're out there with tinfoil on your head, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
Conspiracy theories.
Yeah. Well, the government's covering all, The government can't pay their bills. They're going to cover things up.
James and Jamie want to know, what is your thoughts on provoking spirits to get results?
Me
Well,
personally?
yeah, you
first.
go. Oh,
You
all
me
right.
first? You first?
Well, the word provoke. See, there's a lot of semantics in this field, and provoke, as in calling them names and insulting them and all this stuff. No. I mean, but you can provoke without being disrespectful because you are trying to get a result. So, if you know something sets a ghost off, or what you think's a ghost, if you know something will get a result, then if you're trying to, document that result, then do it. But you also, in the back of your mind, as skeptical as I can be, I also have to think one of the things that could be true is that they are dead people. Yeah. So if they are, don't treat them worse than you treat a normal person.
Yeah.
So, but you can. I mean, I got nothing against being pushy, if that's the right word. But the word provoke to me is kind of like more negative than,
yes.
I've seen these idiots on the TV that go out and just, oh, you're just a big pussy. What's up with you?
Douchebaggins.
What's wrong with you?
Well, yeah. And too, the word provoke, I mean, a lot of people see that as negative. It can be something as simple as dancing, turning on music, doing something to get a reaction. It doesn't have to be, like we just said, you can't do that. I dare you to push me. That's negative stuff.
It's easy to be brave to empty air. I mean, you big pussy. Zach, there's no one there.
Plus, dude, it depends on how you see it. Like, sometimes we've been on investigations, and I've said, what if you were, because there's many different views, what if you were stuck in a place for, let's say, 50 years, you died, and you were stuck in Edinburgh, wherever. Wouldn't you be tired of people coming every night, doing investigations, trying to get you to make stuff happen? You know what I mean? Asking you the same stuff over and over. Eventually, you would ignore them.
So, bugger off with your blinky lights. I've had enough.
I mean, it's just like anything else. The first 10 years, it'd be fun. You'd be messing with people. And after that, you'd be bored of it.
Wedgies.
Yeah.
Swirlies.
And you'd be like, oh, man, I'm stuck here. This is lame. No. Leave me alone.
So that's the provoking thing. I mean, in the back of my mind, I always have, look, if it really is a dead person, let's draw a line at least.
Yeah.
But pushing for results and doing something that, if people say if you do this, then that happens, then I'm going to test that.
Okay. Sorry, I'm bouncing back and forth between the new chat and the old chat here, trying to keep up on the questions.
You're doing a great job.
Yeah, you are.
On your night off with a migraine.
And you got some good questions, too.
We do. That's the problem. But I'm trying to, go back and forth here. Because all Darins were in a row, so I'm trying to break them up a little. But then I lose my spot, and I have to go back and...
Thanks, Darin.
We're going to hack your keyboard. Make it go slower.
Hey, cost per effort.
No, I told him, keep them coming. I'll just keep going back down.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's why we're here, I think. Either that or because we're lonely and we don't have a real life.
Where am I?
James and Jamie have a really good question, but I'm going to ask Darin's first because I think James and Jamie's is going to be a long answer. So.
I talk too much. Is that what you're saying?
Even if I were to answer this one, it'd be one of those long, rambling.
You guys can't see the look in her face.
The answer is 12.
Here we go.
Yeah. This is from Darin. What are your views of crossing spirits over?
I think that's a narrative, I'll be honest with you. Because, crossing them over to where? Why? How do you cross them? What is crossing over? I mean, all these questions. And, that, to me, that's someone's belief. And unless somebody gives me a handle that I can grab hold of on that one, why are they here? What's stopping them crossing over? There's so many questions in just that one statement. Can you at least give me one handle to grab on? What's stopping them crossing over and once again, you'll get 10 different narratives on that. There's something they need to finish doing, or someone's holding them back, or, and there's nothing for me to grab onto there or grapple with. So, that to me, that's down the road. I've got to start at the beginning, and first, are they really there? And if they are there, and you do get some kind of communication, then take it from there. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah, completely. I completely agree with John. I mean,
that's more on the spiritualist side of things, and I try and stay away from the narration. I got enough to look for when I go.
Yeah, I ask that question sometimes too, and but I'm with you. Number one, I have other things, even if it is possible, that's not my job. But even if it is possible, my thing is why do we think we have this right? But that's a whole different
That
topic.
was my thought.
Yeah.
Who are we to be even doing that in the first place?
Yeah. They've been here for 100 years before us, and we don't know why. And if it's possible, I don't know. I have mixed feelings about it.
That's one of the points that are kind of more into religion than what I'm trying to do, which is paranormal investigator. If something's there, I want to find out what it is and how it works. Yeah. That basically is the mission goal. After that, you're getting into religions and and stuff like that, which I try and stay away from.
And we're back to belief and faith and
exactly.
And everybody's got a different.
If you really were to dip into that, religious wise, I mean, you'd probably have some type of capability that you'd know of. You know what I mean? It'd be a type of responsibility to you. You'd probably be able to communicate with spirits, ask them what they need, why, if that was something that was possible.
And on top of that, why can we cross them over if they can't do it themselves?
That's what Yeah. All right, here's this one. I like this question. There are different theories on what ghosts are. Most say that they are people that have passed over, and some say that time is relative, that it's circular and it repeats itself, and they could be people from future, past, that leak through the time. What is your thoughts on this?
Oh, I love this one.
Me too.
That is a good one.
I really appreciate you for asking that, because that shows that you are actually thinking about if they are, what are they, goes back to what are they made of, and then you can start thinking about what to test for. So, I have a couple of pet theories that I've read, and I mean, I didn't come to all these theories on my own. I read a lot, especially, so there's a couple of things that go to that. The first one is, what are they made of? Basically, is, now, if they are what are called the ghost particles that don't have electrons, you haven't got an electron, you can move through walls and everything. The problem with that theory is if you haven't got electrons, then you're not going to set off an EMF meter, you're not going to be able to see anything because, you're not going to produce light, all that kind of stuff. So then you got to say, okay, it's a wave to particle, they can change state. If we can see them and measure them sometimes, they must be able to change state. So the next question then is, okay, we've got something like that. Now, is it interdimensional or is it the state of us after we die? So now scientists say that gravity, or there's a theory that gravity is the weaker force when it shouldn't be, because it has to travel through more than one dimension. By the time it hits us, it's weaker than it should be. Now, if that's true, and that's a serious mainstream science idea, if that's true, they're saying there are more than one dimension. Now, if gravity, and we don't know what gravity is, we've never found it or measured it. If that's true of gravity, then can't there be, beings or sentient beings? So then you start getting into the UFOs and even some people with the Bigfoot, that they're dimensional beings. So that's out there. And I've also heard a theory that, a unifying theory that it's all just time jumps. So we're getting echoes in time. Aliens are echoes in time from the future. And, so there's so many theories out there. My pet favorite is that when we die, yes, we do become whatever the makeup of the ghost is. But as far as residual hauntings and communicative hauntings. And I can't remember his name. I should have written it down. But this one guy hypothesized that when you die, you go into kind of like a sleep dreamy state. And sometimes, when you dream of places like work and places you've been. So that's the recurring ones. If they're dreaming they're doing something, you will see them doing it, but sometimes they're not all, they're a little more conscious, For example, when someone talks to you when you're asleep, sometimes you answer, if you know what I mean.
Oh, yeah, I do.
Yeah, and I kind of like that theory because it fits pretty well. So when you die, you go, more into some kind of dream state, and it also fits like in the near-death experiences.
Yeah.
That would, so that, to me, I really like that one. I think, if the ghosts are knocking around, I think that, and also that covers the bad ghosts, because if you're dreaming, if you had a really crap life and you were, tortured and murdered and all that stuff, if you're dreaming, you're going to be having a nightmare at that point. So then when you go into a place where, scratches and all that nasty stuff, there's someone just thrashing around having a nightmare maybe. So, I kind of really like that theory. That's my pet theory. I can't prove it any more than crossing over into the light, but, if I'm going to pick a narrative, that's the one
that's the starting point.
Yeah, to me fits.
And it really does fit the best, honestly, at least so far.
Does that answer the question? I forgot what the question was. It started well.
I think so.
No, you covered it.
All right, we're going to give this one to Niko since John keeps going first.
I'll shut up now.
No, I don't mean it that way, but we're going to give Niko a fun one here.
All right, I'm ready.
All right.
Where am I?
What color underwear are you wearing?
I didn't know I was supposed to wear it. I'm sorry.
I was talking to Niko. I thought that was the question.
I've lost the question. Hold on. Here we go. What are your views on haunted objects being sold on eBay and other various spots? From Darin, of course.
I think that kind of goes back to what you believe in as well. I mean, me personally, I've never come across a haunted object, something that I actually believe could conduct any type of negative energy or make something happen. So I don't think it's as complicated as people make it. I think it's more of a belief in something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. I think you give enough power in something, good or bad.
You can give an object that power off of what you believe in or what you think the story is behind it. And two, how do you know where it's really coming from or where it was found? I mean, you're buying it off eBay. It doesn't exactly come with a certificate of authentication.
That goes back to, is it a matter of perspective? Are you talking yourself into this because that's what you believe? Or is it really given it power? Is it really haunted?
Yeah, totally.
Or is it the placebo effect?
The better question is why, unless you're a collector or something like that, but I mean everyday people, why would you want to?
I mean, really, it would be backing up kind of what you believe in or what you think to be true.
That's an experiment we need to do. See, we keep on our show. We come up with experiments. So
yeah.
I'm going to do it. I'm going to buy one.
You gotta make a list. Oh, you gotta do an unveiling, unboxing video when you get it live.
And then we're going to test the crap out of it.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to give the seller 1 star because he's probably lying.
So you gotta use one of your fake names when you do it now, though, because you already put it out there.
One of my fake names.
The buyer will see John such and such and say, I know that son of a bitch. I'm not letting him buy this.
He's got so many names. He's a fugitive.
Hey, that's what I have. So many names. It's like somebody said, I think I know you, but I think it was a different name. Yeah. Shay's just a nickname. My real name's Sherry Ann, but I ended up having to change it on Facebook recently to Shay because people were just too confused. So, let's see.
What are you trying to sell me? I don't know you.
Sorry, wrong Shay. Let's see. I want to go back to. All right, we can answer the fun one now. This is for both of you.
Yeah.
If there, of course, it's Darin's. Even if Darin's not in my chats, I ask it every show, and then I'll text him the answer. So, what is one object in the whole world you would never want haunted?
My underwear. I mean, I don't care. I'll be honest with you, because if I had something I really thought it was haunted, then I've got something to play with and test and figure stuff out with. I mean, you know.
That's kind of what I was thinking too. I mean, would it be a bad thing?
I haven't got anything I could do without, really, or at least can't get another one.
It is. Darin said that's a new one. It is. Well, the number one answer is toilet.
Toilet. Mine's often haunted.
Oh, poor toilet.
This is a portal of deadly stench. Don't go in there.
Let's see. All right, guys, if I missed any questions, type them in. I know I missed a couple here, and I'm trying to get to them. Here's a question from Darin. It says how, but this is another perspective question. How would you handle someone in a state of possession?
Well, first and foremost, you got to prove they're possessed.
Calm down, take a deep breath.
I mean, I'll be honest with you, the Catholic Church's been doing this for, 1,000-something years, and they have some very strict rules, and there's a reason for that. And I would have... My problem is, I don't believe in demons, because... The problem is, if you do your history, we were polytheist, like lots of gods, like the Egyptians. You had the god of crops, the god of biscuits, whatever, you know. And,
the god of hangovers.
Yeah, and that's fine. But the problem when you go to monotheism, when you believe in only one god, and it's not just Christianity, but when something bad happens to you, when there's only one god, you can't blame that god. When there's lots of gods, you can blame this god or that god. But when there's only one, so then all of a sudden, then you get, then there has to be a devil. But that doesn't make sense either, because why does he let the devil exist, kind of thing. And then you start going on, and then all of a sudden you get demons and everything else. And I have a problem with that personally, in that now I believe in, if there are ghosts, I believe in bad ghosts. Or if we go back to the theory of bad dreams, but, possession, I have a problem with that. It's most of the possession cases I've read about are either fake. For example, on Seeking the Paranormal, we did the Demon House, and that was so obviously fake. I can't say they're all, but I've never seen a case where I can say, Yeah.
I mean, too, I think that John kind of expresses, but it comes back to what you believe in as well as your point of view on it.
Yep.
But too, I think people take for granted how big the placebo effect can be on somebody. I mean, your mind can get trapped inside of itself and inside of your beliefs, and before you know it, you can be doing things you don't even know you're doing. You don't even know you're saying, and you feel like you can't control them, and it's very easy to blame that on something else, especially if you are spiritual, if you believe in a god and a devil, and it's very easy to go to demon and blame that on something.
And it's an escape mechanism too.
It is. It's you can't explain, so it must be something else. Yeah,
I mean, people will have mental breakdowns they just can't handle, and everybody's got different. Some people will just turn into total alcoholics. Or and it just depends where your mind's at when you can't handle it anymore, and you just have that snap, and
before we knew what certain mental disabilities were, people were literally killed for them.
Yep.
or we even knew what they were, how to handle them, before studies were done scientifically.
But they walked away.
Yeah.
Well,
walked away, secluded.
That being said, now if ghosts exist, I do believe that they can affect. There is a mechanism where they can affect your mental process. But then the question is, why would they do that? And here's the other thing I don't get. If I was a demon or a ghost with bad intent, if you look at the people that get possessed, they are not the kind of people I would possess. Because there's no point. I'd go somewhere where I could actually make an influence by possessing them, if you see what I'm saying. If I had an agenda and I really was a demon and evil and, I'd go for
add into that really quick. Sorry to interrupt you, but if you go off of that too, that also enforces a belief, because then people will say, "Well, you were a non-believer. You were weak. You were not spiritually sound." It takes it to another level. Sorry, I had to add that.
Add away. I talk too much.
I was just listening. Sorry. Matt has a really good question.
About what?
I was just listening and rethinking some of the stuff you were saying, but that's for another time. Let's see. Matt has a really good question. I like your video on the SB7 and the flashcards. Do you think the results were due to a spirit or your own psyche, like telepathy, your power being put into it, or do you think it was...
Do we think it was what? Pareidolia?
Or spirits, yeah. Or that, yeah, that too.
Honestly, it was an odds thing. The actual aim of it was to see, first off, when we talk. So in that video, these guys were sitting on the other side of the table, and they, at the beginning, I wasn't showing them the cards and seeing what they got out of it. It's kind of like an Estes method.
Yep.
So I'd hold up flashcards, and the ghosts read them, and if that comes out, then we got something. And we were basically looking at how many we get out of how many cards. And I thought that was me being clever, but we got quite a few, which kind of, I was like, and the ghost feeder was going off that whole time. You can't really quite see that in the video, but the ghost feeder started going off. We started getting way more than I would have credited the odds to be. I mean, they were weird, like roof, farmer, just basic words that I'd think up at random and wrote them down. And, you shouldn't be getting those in that order out of the radio going across stations. So that's something we definitely want to repeat. And now that we've got the new ghost box where it's easier to understand actually what's coming through, we're definitely going to be. In fact, not this Friday, next Friday, we're going back to the Granger house to do our predictive experiment that we've always wanted to do, in that we go in and we will have a sheet of all the things we expect to happen. And we will see how many of those actually happen. Because the nice thing about an experiment is, okay, you get your data, you should be able to predict an outcome. So that's what we're going to do, not this Friday, next Friday. So we're going to predict what we're going to get, and we'll see how much of it we get. And if we get too much of it, that's got to lend weight to it.
It does.
So yeah, that and thanks for watching that video. I didn't think anyone would ever watch that. I would have had a better job editing it. But that basically that's where we were coming from when we did that. Now, you're asking me to take an extra leap of faith and saying what caused that. I've just got to first establish that it happens, which is what that experiment was for. And we were getting way too many. So, definitely it could be spirits. And the more I do this, the more I say, ghosts are more and more, to me, ghosts are more and more possible. You got to remember, when I came to this, when I first did this, I didn't believe in ghosts at all. And then a couple of things happened, and then I'm like, okay, they're possible. And I'm very hard to move forward, I don't take these huge leaps. But I enjoy doing the experiments and the hunting and the investigation. I shouldn't say hunting.
No, the thing that I like most about that experiment is it cut out a lot of things. So when you hear a word or you see a word, your mind can try to find that word in radio or somewhere. So him not showing us the cards, it kind of takes that out. Did you hear it? You didn't even know what the word was, and what was reading the word to communicate it over the radio waves. It takes a lot out of questioning it.
Yeah, I like it.
Making sure they agree.
Yeah, I mean, does that prove that something was in the room reading those cards, standing behind John as he was looking at them too?
Plus there's the point of, do they see us visually when we communicate to them, or are they just hearing us? So if you use flashcards, you're saying, okay, it's a visual stimulus. Do they react to a visual stimulus? Are they reacting to that, or are they just hearing us? So it's kind of a neat experiment to try and pocket stuff away.
I'll have to try it.
And it's so simple. I mean, it's not, it doesn't cost $500 and it doesn't have a blink light on it. You pencil and paper.
Colorblind them.
Yeah.
I would definitely try that one.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, it's a good one.
We had one more question, and our hour is getting up here, so Darin wants to know, John, have you gotten around to the VR experiments?
Oh, no. I mean, lately my job's kept me extremely busy. And I got to be in the right mind to tackle things like that. We do got the LiDAR going, which is the laser whizzing around and mapping the room like radar, which is kind of cool. But that was kind of an easy build for me. So the VR, I've got to think about how I want to go about that. It's fine saying, hey, we got VR to test, but there's got to be something behind it. Is why are we using VR, and what is it we're actually testing with the virtual reality, or is it another way that we can have viewers, see? I mean, we got the 360-degree camera, which we're going to start using that so people can actually look around the room when we go in, things like that. So, I as much as I love technology, I got to find a reason why I'm going to use it. Not just go in there and say, hey, look at all of our cool stuff.
Yeah, not just to be cool. It's got to be
and we cover that in the first episode too. That attaching science to things to make them more believable. So,
which is, by the way, guys, the show is premiering this Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 Central, right here. Check it out. It's really great. They do a great job. And it's going to be good. It's going to be good.
We try and keep it entertaining, not so dry.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got a good mixture. You go real sciencey, but then you're John, and you throw those left hooks in.
That's how we are in investigations too. We're serious, but we goof off a bit.
Yep.
Keep it fun.
Fun.
That's how I am. Why don't you guys throw out your social media? I know YouTube, Facebook, whatever you have.
All right. The easiest place, instead of listing everything, just go to phantomscience.net and you will find a link to our YouTube channel, which is quite young because we switched across from WTF. So subscribe, that helps. And there's also a link to Facebook. There's a link to my book, should you want a copy of it. And what we're adding, and it may take a couple of months, is we are also developing a database so that all investigators, when they do an investigation, can go in, fill out the report, and then all investigators will also then be able to access that database and get all the information back from everybody that has contributed. So that way, if you're going to go to Edinburgh, you can all the reports of people that have gone there, what their base temperatures were, what their most, what the most often event that happens there is, stuff like that. So that's still under development, but that'll be at phantomscience.net when it's done.
I forgot to ask you, when I was doing that thing for you. Did you actually get to read any of my answers?
No, because at the moment they're not going anywhere.
Well, you said it wasn't going anywhere, but I wasn't sure if you were gonna be able to see any of them or anything.
No,
I figured because I would have got a comment or two after you read them.
You probably thought I was ignoring you.
No, I want to know what you put on there.
No, they just go into a black hole. I've just got the front end, the formulas. This is what I'm working on. The next step will be actually the structure of the database, and then the third step will be the reporting forms where people can actually interrogate that database and get the data back out again in a way that they want it.
Yeah.
So
it was a good setup.
We're excited.
Well, it's as long as people use it. I mean,
That's
no data.
right, yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
I'll use it.
I'll tell you some of my answers when we're off air because I don't want to give away too much, information here. They're saying they can't wait for the new show. Yeah, guys, seriously, it's a good show. It's going to be good. So
Thank you.
I'm going to do a few shout-outs here. If I miss anybody, I'm sorry in advance. Of course, we have Darin in here. We have Matt. We have Miss Kim Purvis. We have James. We have Jamie. I see A's in there. We have Andrew. And it's only going to let me scroll so far. Paranormal Junkyard. If I missed anybody, I am very sorry. And I see I is in there up at top. But anyways, thank you guys for joining me on this special night. Friday, I will be back with the third week of the Southern Gypsies. This week I will have all 3 Southern Gypsies on it, and there's a 50% chance I might be drunk for the show. You never know. So.
Ask them what happened to the Northern Gypsies. I haven't seen them.
I will. I'll ask him, I'm telling you. Yeah, I said Andrew. I think I said Andrew. All right, you guys hold on one second, and I'm going to wrap this up. And that's it. Yes, I said Andrew. Thank you. Thank you, Darin. Darin's such a helper in that chat, I'm telling you.
Yeah, he is. He comes up with good questions.
He does. He really does. All right, guys. Good night. See you Friday.